So I want to talk to you about my carbon zero and the Deep Poo Gap. Sounds horrific. Well, in many ways it is. And what I want to do is just explain to you what we're looking at in terms of a climate change scenario. And the Deep Poo Gap really is the motivation for why I set up my carbon zero. So let's start. Stay with me here. So we've got a graph. Here we've got temperature. And here we've got time. Okay, here's today, 2020. And over here we've got 2100. Okay, let's go a little bit of a different colour. The internet, look, this is a graph that I've made up, but this is the scenarios that are presented under the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So we've got a number of scenarios where we've got 1 degree C of warming, so 1 degree C. We've got 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 4 degrees, 5 degrees, 6 degrees, 7 degrees. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, if I was going to draw the graph probably scientifically brilliant, I'd probably have them all going like this. But I just wanted to give you a sense so that you can see the direction of travel that people are concerned about. So the idea that we can keep below the 1.5 degrees of warming by around 2100 next century, as everyone talks about, is the Paris Agreement. So that's here at about 1.5, okay? So that's Paris. Now, already we're at about 1.2. So here we are at 2020, we're about there. And so the hope is, the plan is, what was set forth in the Paris Agreement was that all governments of the world would implement measures that would have us, yes, we'd still increase from the 1.2 where we are today, but we'd neatly tuck in under 1.5 degrees. So this is 1.5 degrees, the Paris Agreement. To do that, we're going to need to lower our emissions, we're going to need to take carbon out of the atmosphere, but the plan was that that was going to be our trajectory. Now, the concerning thing is that really where we're looking today is actually somewhere up here. Now, there's some dispute about that. There's articles coming out saying, no, if everyone implements their promises, we'll get to 2.1. That'd be terrific. Well, it's still a disaster at 2.1. We're already getting significant climate change at 1.2 degrees warming. So 2 degrees warming, 2.1 degrees warming would be a serious impact over where we are today, but it wouldn't be 6. But at the same time, this is just talking about the promises. Getting to 2.1 depends on everyone implementing their promises. And let's hope that they do. But the other concerning thing is that it doesn't really factor in the possibility of all these feedback loops, climate feedback loops. For example, the methane under the Arctic, where it's way over temperatures at the moment. It's very hot up there, and the methane is already bubbling up from below. And if it all just tips at some point, which is what the fear is, we'll have this massive methane burp and vast amounts of methane will escape into the atmosphere. And that's not factored into this idea that we'll sit neatly at 2.1 or even 1.5. It's feared, but it's not really in the promises. Similarly, permafrosts across the Arctic, releasing vast amounts of methane. We've got the Greenland ice shelf melting. And so the reality is when you look at these things that are forecast to happen in the future, we're actually trending in this direction up here to around 6 degrees warming. And why should that worry us? Well, the reality is at 6 degrees warming, no large mammals can live on the planet. Let's say that again. No large mammals can live on the planet if we get to a 6 degrees warming. And we should all be concerned about that because we've all got that large mammal look about us, right? So it's not good news, not good news at all. But what's even more concerning, if you read some of the reports that are coming out of some of the scientists, what they're looking at, just back in August, there was a report about the Greenland ice shelf. And what they're already seeing with the Greenland ice shelf, with the release of methane, is that actually we're somewhere in here. We're trending towards 6 degrees warming a lot sooner than is forecast here at 2100. Okay, so we're actually doing this. And now they're having to rewrite their worst case scenario predictions because we're already headed for them. Things that they had great fears of seeing in the worst case scenario in the next century are already happening now. And this gap between this where we're headed now and where we want to be in Paris is the Deep Poo Gap. That difference between neatly tucking in at 1.5, which will still have a lot of serious repercussions for humanity and for the planet, for biodiversity, for all sorts of things, and this place where we're headed now, arguably headed now, it's not clear. But just to repeat, things that were not expected to happen under the worst case scenario until the next century, some of them are already happening. They're happening now. So we are in deep poo. And this is the Deep Poo Gap. So the whole purpose of My Carbon Zero is to say we can't wait to see if the governments that have made all these promises under the Paris Agreement implement them. Look, let's hope they do, and let's lobby and let's push them, let's drive them to do that. If we're in a democracy, we can do that. And we're seeing countries that aren't democratic, like China, taking serious steps, and well done the Chinese, to put in place strong climate measures. So there is hope. There is hope. But we can't wait for other people. So the whole logic, the whole philosophy behind My Carbon Zero is that we all need to take our own actions and be responsible for our emissions so that we can start seeing this line curving back and hopefully to this point here. We need to close the Deep Poo Gap. And that's why My Carbon Zero focuses on not just asking governments to take action, but inspiring individuals, families, and businesses to take responsibility for their own emissions and take strong and credible climate action too. And if we do that, maybe we can close the Deep Poo Gap.